Now, we will see what do we mean by second order tensor. A second order tensor maps a vector to another vector and it is a linear transformation. Now, for 3 dimension we can write it this relation where this T is a second order tensor U and V are vectors in 3D. In that case, T maps U to another vector V. So, if we understand like matrix, then it is a 3 cross 1, this is 3 cross 3, this is 3 cross 1. Now, by linear transformation we mean if we operate a second order tensor on this vector which is linear combination of U and V, then this is nothing but here alpha beta are real constant and U and V are vectors. So, second order tensor in this way follow superposition theorem. By sum of two second order tensor we mean if it operate on a vector, then that is nothing but sum of these two vector. For all U belong to a vector. Now, by scalar multiple of a second order tensor, we mean scalar multiple of this vector. Now, we will understand components of a second order tensor by indicial notation. We can write the components this way. Now, if this second order tensor operate on a basis vector where E1 is nothing but this, then you know by matrix vector relation this will be T11, T21 and T31. We can further write it T11 is multiplied with 1 0 0, if we write as basis vector, now as indicial notation we can write it as Tj1 Ej, where there is sum over this dummy index j. So, Te1 is Tj1 Ej. Similarly, you can see Te2 is Tj2 Ej and Te3 as Tj3 Ej. So, we can write in compact form Tei is Tji Ej. Now, if you see in LHS, it is a second order tensor which is operated on a vector Ei. So, it is a vector, whereas in RHS this is linear combination of basis vector E1, E2 and E3. Now, if we multiply, if we take dot product with another vector Ek, then this is Tji delta Kj, which means Tki. So, Ek dot Tei is Tki. For convenience, we first replace, it does not matter which symbol we use, I by j, and then so Tij is nothing but component of Tej in the direction of Ei. We can write this relation V equal to Tu in indicial notation as Vi equal to Tij Uj, where I is free index and j is dummy index. Let us understand few more concepts with second order tensor. Generally, inner product between two vectors are denoted by this symbol, which mean u dot v, and in indicial notation ui vi. Now, transpose of a second order tensor is defined as this, which is true for all u and v belong to R3. A second order tensor is symmetric if its transpose remains same, whereas a second order tensor is skew symmetric if transpose of its change its sign. Now, product of two second order tensor R and S can be defined as where S is first operated on a vector and the transformed vector on which R is further operated. Now, in indicial notation, if a tensor is symmetric, then Tij is Tji. If it is skew symmetric, then Tij and Tji have opposite sign, and the product of two second order tensor in indicial notation can be Rik Skj. Now, we will learn the tensor or dyadic product between two vectors. For all W belong to R3. So, this is the definition of dyadic product, where this is a second order tensor which is operated on a vector, and this is the definition. You can see this is also a vector. Now, if we want to see the components of this tensor, using this relation Ei dot Tej, we can write Ei dot then we can use the definition of dyadic product so this is the component of this dyadic product. Now the component of second order tensor can be expressed in terms of dyadic product. So this is the expression. Let me explain. So a second order tensor has these components. Now if you see the definition of dyadic product, then E1 dyadic E1 give us this second order tensor. Similarly, E1 dyadic E2 will give us this second order tensor. So we can write this tensor as T11 E1 dyadic E1 plus T12 E1 dyadic E2 in this way up to T33 E3 dyadic E3. In indicial notation, which can be expressed EI dyadic EJ. So there is sum over both I and J. So combining 3 basis vector in dyadic product, we have 9 such components, each of which act as basis for second order tensor. Therefore, EI dyadic EJ are called canonical basis for second order tensor. Now we will understand this concept of indicial notation with one example. So we want to prove this identity with indicial notation. So these are two cross product. So we know I, this is for dot product. Now A cross B I give us epsilon I j k A j B k, and this we can write epsilon P q C p d q. Here you can see, as I have already used j here, I have to use different symbol. I cannot use j here, because in one product term j should appear only twice, not more than that. So we have epsilon I j k, epsilon I p q, a j b k, c p d q. Now we can use epsilon delta identity, which give us delta Jp delta Kq minus delta Jq delta Kp operated on Aj, Bk, Cp, Dq. Now we can use the substitution property of delta operator. So I substitute J in Aj by P and K in Bk by Q. Now here I substitute J by Q, K by P. So APCP constitute A dot C, BQ/DQ constitute B dot D, whereas B dot C, A dot D. So this is our RHS. Thus using indicial notation we have proved this identity. This is an example of indicial notation. Now we will briefly understand differentiation of tensors in tensor calculus. First we see what do we mean by gradient. For a scalar valued function, that is phi, which map from RQ to R, that is it operate on a vector V and it gives us a scalar. We are interested in RQ because in our physical problems we encounter in this 3-dimensional space. So it is denoted by this symbol, and in indicial notation it can be written as, so this is a vector. Now for vector valued function, which maps from R cube to R cube, this gradient operator gives del Vi del Xj Ei dyadic Ej, that is it is a second order tensor. We can write it in another way. Now we will understand the divergence operation. When it operates on a vector valued function, that is so we can give one example. One vector valued function can be this, then divergence, it is denoted by this del dot V, is nothing but del Vi del Xi. This is a scalar quantity. Now for tensor valued function, second order tensor is denoted by this line. That is, this is a vector whose ith component is given as this. Here you can see there is this dummy index j. So, if you notice, in gradient operation, scalar become vector and vector become a second order tensor. So, the order increase by 1, whereas in divergence operation vector becomes scalar and second order tensor become a vector. So, order is decreasing by 1. Also, we can give some scalar valued function as x dot x. You can see here it is taking from R q to R. Similarly, some tensor valued function can be written as x dyadic x. So, this is a second order tensor from vector. Now, we will understand what do we mean by curl. So, for vector valued function, we mean this equal to a vector whose ith component is given as epsilon I j k Now, if you remember, cross product between two vector, the ith component is epsilon I j k u j v k. So, the similarity is instead of u we have del operator. So, instead of u j it is del x j. You can remember with this similarity. So, curl of v, it is a vector. So, similarly, curl of a tensor valued function is a second order tensor. So, we can write the component So, these are the curl operations on vector valued and tensor valued functions. Now, by Laplacian, which is denoted by del square on a scalar valued function phi, we mean divergence of gradient of phi, that is del to phi del xi del xi. These are different kind of differentiation in tensor calculus. Now, we will solve some examples with differentiation of tensor using indicial notation. So first we will solve this problem. So let me start this. So we can write our LHS as the usual indicial notation for divergence, because this quantity is a vector. Now we can expand the bracketed term using indicial notation of cross product. Now if you see, this vector curl of B is also appearing in RHS as it is. So we can use this vector with symbol P. So that is, vector P is nothing but curl of B. Now if we apply the product rule of differentiation, then this is the first term, this is our second term. Now you know if we maintain this sense of rotation, then epsilon I j k is same as epsilon k I j, because both have same sense of rotation. So we can write this as epsilon k I j. Also here we can write epsilon j k I. So this is same as epsilon j k I. Now if you see, this we can write as curl of A k using the indicial notation of curl, and here if we write epsilon j I k, then that is in opposite sense. So one negative sign will come. We are interchanging the index in such a way, we have the second index with this denominator and the third index with numerator, so that we can use the indicial notation of curl. Here also we have changed the index such that this denominator index come in the second position and numerator come in third position. We should maintain the sign as per this convention. So, this is nothing but the dot product between two vectors, and this we can write curl of P j. First term we keep as it is. For second term we can again use indicial notation for dot product. Now we can replace P by our original vector curl of B. Thus we get our right hand side. Now we will solve one more example where we understand the concept that dummy indices should not be repeated more than twice. So this is the example where u is given with this vector x by mod x cube. X is nothing but the position vector, and we have to prove that del dot u is 0 and curl of u is also 0. First we will express u in indicial notation. So we can write ui as xi by xm. So mod x is nothing but xm whole to the power half. So this we can further write as now if we write divergence of u, that is del ui del xi. Now we can apply the product rule. Here I want to mention that del xi del xj is nothing but delta ij. Hence del xi del xi is delta ii, which is nothing but 3. Also we will see this term in more details. Here we have to apply chain rule. We have to first differentiate this whole term by xm, then we get minus 5 by 2, and after that we have to differentiate this xm with respect to xi. Now here we cannot write further xi xm because m is dummy index and we have already used it here 2 times. So, it cannot further repeat, whereas we can write the same expression mod x square as XL. So, mathematically meaning remains same, whereas we are satisfying the condition that dummy indices should not be repeated more than twice. This is very crucial step. And another thing, that this entire thing will be considered as one term because they are related in product. So, this is the very crucial step for which I took this example. Now, if we write further, we keep it as it is, then this will be again using product rule. So, this is equal to minus 3 by 2 mod x Now, if we write del dot u, we will continue from this step. Then the first term, that is this term, is nothing but 3 by mod x cube minus 3 xi mod x to the power 5. So, that is this term. So, this will be further 3 and xi is again nothing but mod x square. So, finally it become mod x cube and hence it is 0. Now, we will prove this part. So, if we write this curl of u, this is a vector. So, in initial notation, the ith component ijk del uk del xj now if you see the previous slide, uk is nothing but this. We have to just replace I by k. So, it is x k xm minus 3 by 2. Now, again we will use the product rule. So, this is del xk del xj, that is delta kj and the other term will be del xj xm minus 3 by 2. Now, here using substitution operator ijj xm minus 3 by 2, and for this term if you see the previous expression, that is this, where del xi, we get finally this expression. So, when I am doing differentiation with respect to xi, we are getting this. So, in this case, just here I is replaced by j. So, we will get minus 3xj by mod x5. So, we will get minus 3xj by mod x to the power 5. Now here these two indices are repeated. We know for permutation symbol, if two indices are repeated then it is 0, and this we can write 3 epsilon I j k by mod x to the power 5 x k x j. Let me write this step as step 1. Now in next step we interchange dummy index k with dummy index j, which is allowed. So I replace j by k and k by j, interchanging dummy indices j and k. Now this we can write I j k. Now epsilon I k j is nothing but minus epsilon I j k. So if we see step 1, then this is nothing but negative of this expression, that is we can write minus of curl of u I from step 1. Now we have proved that curl of u, the ith component, is same as negative of the quantity. So which tell us curl of u is 0. This is only possible if curl of u is 0.